To start this problem, you have to figure out which variable you're going to solve for, and you have 4 of them. X, Y, X, Y. It might be easiest to do this, or it could be easiest to do this. This one already has nothing beside it except a 1. So I'll try it that way. We're going to solve for y in this equation, so we'll make it y equals 2x squared minus 30, moving this to the right. And that's the only step you have to do before you plug it into this one here. So 4x minus 3 times the quantity, 2x squared minus 30. And then we have to have equals negative 22. So go in there and distribute the negative 3 to get a negative 6x squared plus 90. And you want to move everything into a position where we have the following. You need to have a x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So we're going to have negative 6x squared plus 4x plus 90, and move the minus 22 to the left, change the sign, and simplify those two constants at the end to come up with 112. Don't forget that anytime something is in common in all 3 terms, you can divide everything by that term. I can divide everything in here by a 3 if it were possible, but 112 is not divisible by 3. You could divide everything by 3 if they were all divisible by 3, but they're all divisible by what since they are even? They're 2. So you can divide everything by 2 to get a negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 56, which makes it a little easier to deal with. So we could do the quadratic formula to get negative 2 plus or minus 2 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times 56. All of that is over 2 times negative 3. Go under the square root sign to get 4 plus what is essentially 12 times 56. And that's 672. So if you add that together with the 4, you should come up with a 676. And the square root of 676 is 26. So that works out neatly. And we now have 2 problems that we're going to have to do. One is negative 2 plus 26 over negative 6, and one is negative 2 plus, or not plus, but minus 26 over negative 6. On the left, you will have 24 divided by negative 6, which is negative 4. And on the right, that's a negative 28 over negative 6, which turns out to be 14 over 3. So you're going to have to use negative 4 and 14 over 3 at the very top in one of those 2 original equations. I'm going to try the 4x minus 3y equals negative 22. 4x minus 3y equals a negative 22, and put in a negative 4. If I put a negative 4 in there, I'm going to come back with a negative 16 that I have to move to the right and change the sign so that I have negative 22 plus 16. And negative 22 plus 16 is a negative 6. That gives me a 2 for y. So I put in a negative 4 and came back with a 2. So there's your first answer. Now we have to do this same thing again for 4x minus 3y equals a negative 22, but this time we have to put in the 14 over 3. So 4 times 14 over 3 is going to give me a 56 over 3 that I have to move to the right side so that I end up having a negative 22 minus 56 over 3. And you have to simplify with a common denominator, so that'll give you a negative 66 over 3 minus 56 over 3. And then you can subtract those fractions. That would give you a negative 122, I believe. I'll double check that. Yeah, negative 122 over 3. and you would have to divide that by the negative 3. So negative 122 over 3 divided by negative 3 is the same as multiplying by a negative 1/3. So you get a 122 over 9. And 9 will go into 122, let's see, 12 times is 108, 13 times is 117, with 5 left over. So we put in a 14 over 3, which is the same thing as 4 2/3. And we came back with a 13 5/9. So you should have that and negative 4, 2 for your answers. You have 4 choices to start each of these problems. You can choose to isolate this, 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 or this, any one of those 4 variables. Don't forget that you're also allowed to divide everything by the same constant number if it helps to simplify. And you can do that right from the start of the problem if you need to. What if I divide all of these by 2 and come up with a negative x squared plus y equals a negative 4? That makes that much easier to isolate for y. So I end up with an x squared minus 4 on the right side. And I can put that back here. 3x minus 4 times x squared minus 4 equals negative 11. Distribute the minus 4 to come up with 3x minus 4x squared plus 16 equals negative 11. Don't forget you need ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we have a negative 4x squared, a plus 3x, and a plus 16, but that minus 11 must join them and change the sign. Simplify those 2 constant numbers at the back end. 16 plus 11 is 27. We don't have a constant term in all of those except 1, so we're going to have to go straight to the quadratic formula. And that would be negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times negative 4 times 27. All of that's going to be over 2 times negative 4. So a negative 3 plus or minus 9 plus the equivalent of 16 times 27, which is 432. If you add those 2 numbers under the square root sign, you're going to come up with a perfect square of 441. And the square root of 441 is 21. So now you can break this up into 2 problems. Negative 3 plus 21 over negative 8, and negative 3 minus 21 over negative 8. On the left-hand side, alright, so to finish this off, we're going to have negative 3 plus 21, which is a negative, or not negative, but a positive 18 over negative 8, which reduces to 9, or actually a negative 9 over 4. And then on the right side, that's a negative 24 over negative 8, and that becomes a positive 3. So we have negative 9 over 4 and 3 to take back to the top. So we'll go up here. And we can put it in this thing here. You can put it in this, because it's the same as this here. So if we put it in y equals x squared minus 4 here, y equals x squared minus 4, you'll come up with y equals, putting in the 3 first, 3 squared minus 4. 9 minus 4 is going to be 5. So you put in a 3, and you get back a 5. So do it again for negative 9 over 4. So we'll square the negative 9 over 4. And when you square that, it's going to come out to be 81 over 16. Minus 4, you need a common denominator. So 81 over 16 minus 64 over 16. Turns out to be 17 over 16. This reduces down to 1 and 1/16. So I put in a negative 9/4, which is the same thing as a negative 2 and 1/4, and I came back with 1 and 1/16.